Welcome back to Edge of Intelligence, the podcast where we explore how AI, automation, and strategic systems converge to shape the future of business. I'm Carl Owen, a fractional CIO and AI advisor with Proteligen. Today's guest is building what I believe is the next frontier of enterprise intelligence, a platform that goes beyond dashboards and looks ahead. Amit Mundra is the founder and CEO of GroFlex Technology, an AI-driven decision intelligence platform that unifies business data across functions to help leaders act faster, smarter, and in sync. Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carl. It's great to be on the show as well with you.
Glad to have you. Well, to kick us off, can you share your journey? What led you to found GroFlex, and what gap did you see in business intelligence or decision making that set out to fix?
Sure. Actually, the journey started way back. It was my first working experience in 2002 when I was doing an internship at 20th Century Fox. So the mind was incorporated at that point of time. And during my internship with Fox, I was promoting a movie called as Minority Report. It was a big hyped movie with Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg coming in together for the first time. And it talked all about the cognitive mindset and predicting the future and stopping the crime. And way back in 25 years ago, they showed super gadgets all around. The technology was super. And that thought process always stuck in my mind as to if they can think of that vision and create a movie about preventing crime, why can't businesses use their own data at one point of time to create future and predictions? So that thought kept on persisting in my mindset for a very, very long time. And thankfully, now with the advent of AI, we see that there's a possibility to do that. So it translated over a 25-year-old journey is what I would say. So
That's a great movie, first of all, but that's interesting. Many companies have analytics and BI tools, but what often gets missed is moving from insights to action, especially when multiple departments are involved. GroFlex claims to be designed for that leap. Let's kind of explore how that works. If you had to describe GroFlex's mission in one sentence, what would it be?
in one sentence, I would probably very clearly point out that GroFlex helps you find out your blind spots, whether it's internal and external, and help you identify those problems before they become problem and stop your growth journey.
Well, what types of businesses or industries were you targeting originally, and how has that evolved over time?
So earlier, our target market was very much the small industry segment because we wanted to start slowly developing the product and build the robustness of that. But when we opened our pilots, pretty much the entire pilot that we're working with is mid to large segment companies because apparently it's a much larger problem than what we first envisaged and what we first did a research on. And now it's quite aligning with our growth pattern because these are the companies which have a lot of data. Number one, they have a lot of data silos also. So that's another bigger problem. And the third biggest problem is there is no concrete way to bring all of this together. And that led us to the evolution of targeting the mid segment. So mid segment is what we are pretty much very comfortable with at the moment. And we're building towards robustness for the large enterprises.
Well, you've been quoted saying organizations don't need more dashboards, they need clarity and next steps. How does GrowFlex deliver that difference?
So the first and foremost, telling by my example, we have all pretty much have had those dashboards, the BI tools and analytical tools. But the problem is they are all reactive. They are not proactive. That's one of the biggest problems. The second is they don't find those hidden patterns and associations that your data is throwing across. That's why we have heard so many times that we are not able to utilize all our data, or we really don't know what to do with the entire data set that we have, and things like that. So what we have understood is there are two major problems. First, people don't know what the data is, the entire length and the breadth of the data is. Second, we are accustomed and we are taught not to ask questions which are very different altogether. So we are taught to ask the certain set of questions that we keep asking. We don't even know what are the new patterns and associations our data is coming up. So what we are doing slightly different is first, we are micro bifurcating your data. So if you're uploading me an Excel sheet and finding another combination of a data point or any other information that you're sharing with me, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bifurcate the data to the bare minimum level as possible, finding new patterns and associations. The next step that what we'll be doing, or we are planning to very quickly lay out this entire user experience is, we'll give you prompts as to there are new correlations that we have found in your data. Would you like to explore those? Because these are correlations and patterns which are not known to us. So what we generally ask, why is my sales down? How did this work, that work? But these are new set of questions that we are enlightening our users with, that there are possibilities. You can go deeper into this. And we are doing this in a completely no code environment for the user. You simply come onto our platform, connect your data sources, and you can start working right away. Now, when the question comes of dashboards, of course, we also show dashboards because we just cannot move away from the industry. People will then require a larger learning curve altogether. But how are we doing it differently? First, we are not just giving you a dashboard, we are giving you the logic and the reason behind it as to why is this dashboard there? What are the probabilities? What are the connectors? So we are giving you a complete reason so that you start believing and trusting the solution that we are providing. That's the first step that we are doing. The second step, what we are also doing is we are giving you an agentic AI chat facility so that you can go and interact with your data on a deeper level. And third, also very important thing is we're not just bringing or mixing your internal data, we are also bringing external data which directly affects your business. Unfortunately, by the time you bring that mix up, other businesses have moved ahead. So looking at these complexities, this is how we are different. Yes, we do have dashboards, but dashboard is just the first step in our entire process.
Are you seeing challenges with the quality of the data that you're ingesting, or looking for inherent biases and things like that that may be in there? And if so, how do you handle that?
Absolutely. So what we are doing is in our entire process, and by the way, when we are working with the no-code technology, it's a patent-pending technology, so we have already filed patents. So what we are doing is we are not just allowing you to upload your data, we're also helping you data management. So the team is working hardcore into this to understand how can we do the data better. So you will have your data scores. We'll look at your duplicacies of the data. We point out all of these factors so that you understand how clean is your data, how relevant is your data, how can you improve those data points so that when you're connecting the next set, it's more relevant to the purpose you're trying to drive with it.
What were some of the toughest challenges that you had convincing customers, building the platform out, or aligning sales and operations? I mean, there's a whole host of things that could have been challenges for you.
I would probably go back one step more further is finding the right team, the right founding team to drive these challenges is the most important because I'm a non-technical co-founder. So finding a technical co-founder itself was not a challenge, but I am very lucky that we found two technical co-founders right at the spot. So the first thing I would probably say is the team. But when I come on to the right problem set, the biggest challenge was never the problem because whomever I spoke to at any given point of time, and the moment they gave me 2 minutes of their time, they were able to understand what we are doing and they were very closely able to associate all of this with them. The bigger challenge was or still is actually making people understand that we are not another BI tool or an analytical tool, or we are not here to educate you here. We are here to solve your workflow problems. That's the one of the biggest challenges. And of course, the challenge of technology itself is another bigger problem. The reason is there are so many changes on a day-to-day or an hourly basis happening in AI
Right.
that it creates its own set of challenges that we figure out one piece and then there's another bigger challenge already waiting for us. So even having an AI native company, we are still facing challenges with AI because it's moving at a tremendous pace.
I would agree with that. How do you measure the impact of your solution on these companies? Is it through a cost savings metric, or is it time reduction, revenue uplift? How are you measuring success?
So what we are doing is what we have understood one clear thing, and all of these are actually from experiences and having spoken to many companies and founders and executives. What is the purpose of doing all of this exercise? At the end of the day, the purpose is to drive KPIs. Now, the KPIs can be measured in various different formats and for various different departments. So, what we are doing is we are actually measuring it back to your KPI and we're driving it use case by use case. So, for example, if you're working with someone having a problem with inventory management, then what is the core that you want to drive with that entire use case? Do you want inventory streamlined, reduced, days of inventory? So we work closely with all our pilots and customers, okay? And our go-to-market strategy is slightly different in that approach. And that's one of the reasons where we are able to narrow down as to what do you want to get out of the tool. So there are various methods and various results that the companies drive. So it can be cost reduction, it can be sales increase, So there are many more things, and it's all case to case driven is what we would say. So
Well, building a platform that goes beyond retrospective dashboards means embedding predictive and prescriptive insights into the workflow. That's where decisions get made. Let's kind of dive into how GroFlex approaches that. So, how does AI power GroFlex's core capabilities? Is it mostly predictive models and or more advanced decision intelligence?
So we are actually incorporating both the models that you have already talked about. So we are ready already with the predictive model. And what we are also doing very, very carefully, because we understand when we claim that we are a decision intelligence tool, then our decision intelligence has to be robust and strong. So currently at the present junction, we are not even doing more than 6 months of prediction, because we want to get that one piece sorted out to the core and then go move ahead. So we're not claiming we'll give you a 5-year projection, because there are a lot of moving factors into that. And if a tool has built that kind of flexibility that they can project 5 years, great for them. But we feel with the changing scenarios in AI, it's very difficult to predict for a very long time. So we are doing predictive analytics. We are building prescriptive. The two other factors that we are also incorporating is what if scenarios, because a lot of things change when you're working around in what if scenarios. And last but not the least, we are going to be working with actionable insights. So we will give you those insights which you can action it on. And all of this again is built with a core responsibility for us is to why are we giving you that, and what is the logic and the reason behind that. Because if AI is not trust driven, then these are just numbers that a model is throwing across.
Well, I should have asked you this earlier, but is there a minimum set of data that's required for your system? Or do you come in, if someone doesn't have the data that's necessary, you come in and build synthetic data into the solution?
No, we don't work with the synthetic data, because at the end of the day, if we are trying to solve a use case for a company or trying to solve a workflow, then we have to work with data set. We bringing synthetic data may not be the right solution for the company, because it may not throw the right solutions or situations that the company is facing, and the results may be very skewed, maybe for the company or against the company. So we generally don't do that, and we don't have that in the pipeline also to anytime do it. That's very well clear, and we want to ethically drive it. Second of all, we don't mix data from other organizations. So your data, the model works only with your data. For others, the model is customized accordingly. So we don't work on a model-based system where we are learning from your data. The model learns on your data and gives you the result.
Well, I saw mentioned a mention of mapping cross-functional KPI relationships and modeling ripple effects across departments. Can you explain how that works in practice?
Sure. So what we have also seen, and I think the strongest factor in this would be sales and marketing. I think for n number of years we have had those discussions where sales and marketing are pretty much at loggerheads if they are different departments, unless they are handled by the same person. It's like marketing claims I have given you so much of leads, and sales says no, the leads were not that great. The data, the problem lies in the data. So what we are doing differential is, first and foremost, we are giving you rights management. In the sense, does sales want to share this data with marketing? First thing. Second thing, whom do they want to share it with? Marketing head or other people in the team? And the third factor is, what is the level of data they want to share? View only, edit only, I will share this file, I don't want to share that file. So here we are creating a cohesive environment where cross-functional teams can actually work in together, share the data, because at the end of the day, everyone wants it to benefit the company, not an individually driven role. So that's why we allow that cross-pollination of data, and cross-pollination of data also leads to actually getting more insights generated, which help the company overall in driving KPIs at both ends, because marketing also need to fulfill their KPIs and sales also, for example.
You guys are dealing with systems across all different areas of a company. So when integrating with multiple business systems like finance, ops, sales, marketing, what are common data engineering or readiness challenges you're seeing?
So one of the challenges that we are really seeing is the availability of data. So a lot of times we have a central repository of data, maybe an ERP system, or some are using a CRM system. The bigger challenge is actually connecting all of these data sources together, because sometimes there's an open API available to extract the data. If there are certain platforms which do not allow that, then the results become incomplete because we cannot extract the data. So that's the biggest problem. The second problem is, and again, I think pretty much everyone can resonate who are listening to this podcast, no matter which size of a company that we are talking about, there are still data silos because we may be using the best ERP solution in the world available, but I'll still have probably 10, 15 Excel files on my desktop somewhere. And that's a data that I have been working around, I have been working together. But then it becomes very difficult for me to map all of these data sets together. And even if I'm using a BI tool, I as an individual, unless I really know coding to that level, to ingest that data into the system to work it around. So these are practical challenges which actually the companies face on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, they are. You've talked about this a little bit already, but with my clients, one of the biggest things I see is discussions around transparency and trust, right? So this is a black box. I don't know how it's getting the answer. It can't tell me how it's getting the answer. So how do you manage trust and transparency, and explainability when you're recommending actions across departments?
Absolutely. So if you remember, just going back to a few minutes, I told that we have a slightly differential go-to-market strategy. So we are not into the belief that AI is, there may be a lot of AI products, but our product is not that you can just fly off the shelf and it'll work fantastically well. It will absolutely, no problems in that. But it depends on the size of the company. If it's a small company, it will work brilliantly well. However, our GTM approach is slightly different. We believe in consultative approach because what we have also realized, there are two, again, bigger problems with AI implementation. First, a lot of companies are unsure as to which layer of AI they need incorporated at what levels. Okay, that's problem number one. And the second is the implementation problem, or exactly what will the AI solve for them. So what we are doing is we are taking a consultative approach. So our approach for mid to large segment is, let's come together. First, identify one use case that we want to work together in. If that works, then we go start building more layers and more use cases there. So we are more in a consultative sales approach rather than just going and selling with a product, because what we also know and we have seen by experience, companies buy products, but they stop using it and the renewals will not happen because they get stuck as to, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing later on, or it's not solving that problem of mine. Now, to overcome this and to make it actually useful for the company, we need to first sit together and define what do you want from us, what can we deliver, and if both the parties map it, then we go ahead with the sales process. Otherwise, we step out because then it is not a suitable process. So for us, it's not just about running the ARR numbers, but it's also about bringing usability, because at the end of the day, we are not building the tool for us. We are building it for the users. So if the users are not aligned with that, then it's a bigger problem.
Do you see GroFlex becoming a standard layer of intelligence that coexists with ERP and CRM systems rather than replacing them?
Absolutely. We are not replacing any systems, to be very clear, because we are a decision intelligence layer. The decision intelligence is what we are giving. What you are talking about, the ERP and the other softwares, those are execution layers, and we are not replacing any execution layer, because from the current GroFlex product that you're talking about, for example, we'll not be able to create invoices for you. You'll not be able to work your CRM systems or record those calls and all for that. Our platform is designed to get the data extracted, give you that refinement, and then help you execute it back. So we are pretty much, if you look at the example of a body, so we are pretty much the head section, and the execution is the lower body overall. So we are not replacing any systems. In fact, we work in tandem with the systems altogether.
That's the way
In
to do
fact, we'll not be able to survive without such systems because the data will not be coming across.
That's true. That's true. Well, platform companies face scaling challenges, both internally with either product talent or operations, and externally go to market, adoption, change management, those kind of things. Let's talk about how you're tackling those now. As GrowFlex grows, what are the biggest operational bottlenecks you face? Is it customer onboarding, data integration, partner ecosystems? To your point, you said AI is changing every day, which is absolutely true. If you don't like where it is today, just blink and it'll be different tomorrow.
In fact, if you blink, it'll be different in the next 1 hour. Tomorrow is still like in AI terminology, it's like already epic. Okay. But the challenges of scale, what you have said is right. But however, what we are doing a bit more differently is we currently are working with pilots at the moment to make our application and platform more robust because we understand the complexities of it. For example, I'll give you a simple use case. We are working with a chain of hospitals in India and working closely to understand their entire use case, the data they have, and all of that. So one of the challenges that we faced were the large data sites that was coming across from one Excel itself. I'm not even talking multiple sources. So then we said, pause. Let us first get this right rather than saying, can you bring a smaller amount of data? Because that doesn't work. I cannot tell the client, break the file into two and then bring it along. That's like a no-go for us. So we paused that entire pilot for 10 days, got our systems to work better, did our internal POCs. When everything got running, we restarted the process. So the idea for scalability for us is to take baby steps, but make every part of our solution robust enough so that when the scalability factor comes across, we are not concerned. Similarly, we can work with any kind of a data source that is available to us. And one of the USPs that we have is we are able to bring external data. So if there is a website which has a structured data, you can simply paste a URL and it'll work for us. And last but not the least, we are going to be working with multi-cloud systems. So it really doesn't matter whether you're using a private cloud or a public cloud or other systems, we'll be able to work with all.
Okay. Are there parts of your product or service that are still heavily manual or require high touch? And if so, how are you working to automate those?
So as of now, we are the only real few touches that are there manual is a few more steps that you have to take. So what we are doing is first we got the entire MVP up and ready so that there is usability. We can capture what's exactly happening and all of that. And now the team is working to generate the user experience. Our entire aim is how can we reduce that one click less for the customer? If we can achieve in doing that for every step that is possible for us, we are automating the system further and further. So I cannot say right now that yes, we have a 100% automated system, but till the time our learning curve is going on, our entire aim on a fortnightly sprint is what I would say. So is to reduce that one click extra for the customer.
So let's go back and talk trust for a second. So, again, that's a huge thing, trust and the concept of this being a black box. So how do you ensure consistent quality and reliability as you scale across industries and geographies and instill that level of trust in your clients?
So first, a lot of times we have come across clients saying that, what about data privacy? I think that's the biggest challenge that pretty much every company faces these days because they've started to realize the value of their data. But a lot of companies also don't realize is the moment they are working on a public cloud, whether it's in Azure, Google, or AWS, your data is practically out. It's not in your closed environment. Yes, it's in a very secure environment. I'm not saying it's an unsecured environment because we are also using the same, okay? But it's out of your environment. So the first thing is if you can trust those systems, we are using exactly the same system. So there is no differentiation because the data is not coming into our private cloud. We don't have a private cloud. We're still working in the same clouds that you are. That's number one. Number two, if you're working on a private cloud, like I said, we are okay to even deploy it on your premises. We have no problems whatsoever. And you can get an audit done at any given point of time because we don't extract any data for any learning because we have built the models in such a way that if you recollect our conversation earlier, I said it learns from your own data, not from others' data. So that is something that we are doing. We are always open to audits on those regards. And overall, if you look at the process, we have streamlined it to as minimalistic as possible so that when we're giving you the logic and the reason behind our decisions, like even our predictions as to why are we giving you that? Because, yeah, it's very easy to say yes, sales will grow by 30%. What is the logic behind it? Why are we suggesting that? What is the correlation behind that? Is there a pattern that we see? I need to tell you all of this. If I'm not able to tell you all of this, then I'm just throwing random numbers. And if that number matches, then I'll be like, look, I told you it matches. If it doesn't, we are updating our models, we'll get better. Rather than getting in that situation, we don't mind playing it small and slowly, but building that robustness and giving you that logic and the reason behind it is the most important thing for us.
Well, tell me a little bit about the KPIs that you track internally.
So when we talk about KPIs internally, we are not a very large team, and we are kind of designed that ways. We are a very lean team. So the KPIs are actually broken down departmental wise. So we have a sales KPI, a marketing KPI, and overall a product KPI. Now the product KPI is again broken down into three different departments, which is the development, the product ownership, and the design. And we run a fortnightly doing this, and we track it to that level so that our KPIs, we work on OKRs, on the quarterly OKRs and the yearly OKRs, but we really break it down to the sprint level because, like I said, there are a lot of complex moving parts going around in this. And with new development, everything new coming up, the marketing communication slightly changes, the sales approach changes. So we cannot run longer KPIs because of these new developments that are happening almost every week or 15 days with us. So we break down our KPIs as minimum as possible, and we track it down to that level.
Perfect. Well, as you know, I'm a fractional CIO, fractional CISO, and AI advisor. So I always have to ask this question to bring visibility into what someone like that does, right? So if you could bring in a fractional CIO or AI advisor to solve one problem for GroFlex this year, what would it be?
I think my CTO would be the best person to answer that, especially on the technical side when it comes to CIO. But I can still give you a broader aspect of that. It will be actually getting our complete architecture into a clear roadmap would be our biggest asset, and I'll tell you why also behind that. Because there are plethora of tools available, but how do we bring these tools, the MCPs, the Gen AIs, and all of that together along with the models and all of that? It's superbly important because if the skeletal is not right, sooner or later your body will start having problems. And we strongly believe into that. So the architecture is the most important piece for us. Also because it's the way we are moving is we are moving towards edge deployment. And that again, the architecture becomes superbly important for that. And that's one of the reasons we are planning to work with multi-cloud and deploy it in your on-prem solution. So architecture is something which is for us, it's again going back to creating the foundations.
You position GroFlex not just as another analytics tool, but as a foundational layer. Let's look ahead. What does that future look like?
It's a very interesting question because we have had these discussions many a time. If you ask me, we want to be probably a player in the scenario that we are there in each and every role and each and every scenario available in your company, acting as a support function. Because if we are able to solve that one use case for you in the right way, sooner or later we will expand in that organization and we'll have that kind of an intelligence floating around inside the organizations so that we can help you create those scenarios. For example, I can give you a very vague example. At the moment, we don't have a concrete solution. But imagine going to those meetings that each one of us had, those review meetings where we came across, created our presentations, and then there were questions thrown across for great possibility of time we had those answers and a lot many more we didn't have those, and we always like, oh, we missed the sales figures this time, or the marketing didn't perform, we couldn't hire so many people, we'll do better this time. See, the idea is if the data is flexibly and humanly understandable form available to pretty much everyone in the organization, then those issues can be resolved, number one. Number two, a lot of times people spend actually a lot of time getting ready for those meetings and everything, which creates more workload on the people rather than their core functionality. Now, if my reporting manager has already got that information, rather than me sitting and making the presentation, I would go into the meeting and figure out how can we do this better. So my time optimization of not just myself, my reporting manager, everything gets streamlined because now your data is not in silos. My data is not with me and the manager's data is not with him. So it's not the first time he's seeing the data. He's already got a fair bit of idea working around that. So these are a few use cases that I can already talk about as to how can we, because at the end of the day, it's again, the biggest connecting point in any of the organization apart from the product is the data that's floating up.
Where do you see GroFlex in 3 to 5 years from now? Is it broader across functions, deeper into autonomy, horizontal across industries? What's your vision?
So our vision, what we have also understood, and this is again with examples and a lot of learnings, we want to stay as a horizontal player Okay, verticalization is great. I completely get that. We should be getting into that. But what we believe is there are many functions and use cases that we need to solve first. And when we start doing that, we can be horizontal player. For example, I'll give you an example. There is a chemical manufacturing company that we are working with. They have a problem with inventory management. There is another company into healthcare. They do medical equipment. Okay, they also have the same problem. Now, if I say go and say I want to be vertically starting to get integrated to chemical manufacturing, and I'm solving that inventory management, I can parallelly solve it for other industries also. Retail also faces this problem massively. I think retail has got the biggest problem of inventory management. So rather than going industry verticalization, we would go function verticalization, and while doing that, we can be horizontally present across all industries because the problem is not for one industry. The problem is for pretty much every industry that we're talking about right now.
That's true. We talked about how fast everything's changing. There's a lot of emerging technologies out there. So, what emerging technologies or trends excite you right now? I mean, there's generative AI, there's autonomous workflows, digital twins for business, federated data models. So, what excites you out there that's coming down the pipe?
The most exciting actually is digital twin, if you ask me, because that creates a scenario where you can actually work around without disrupting the current workflows. So the work doesn't stop for an organization. The advent of AI is to help accentuate and accelerate that entire process and not to bring it to a grinding halt till the time the AI is implemented. So the idea of digital twin is an excellent, I would say, analogy because you can work parallelly, improve the system, and once you're ready with that, then go implement it. Business for other companies is not disrupted. So the AI should be not a disruptive environment, but more of, I probably say, a supportive environment. So that is something that we are very closely monitoring at the moment.
Are you doing anything with digital twins right now?
As of now, what we are not doing it because as of now, our use cases are itself driving us to that factor, and we're still actually going back to the basics because if I go back to the hospital example, they have some kind of an ERP. It was pretty much customized to them. But unfortunately, they find it very complicated and complex to even work with the dashboards. So they're actually dumping that entire CSV and doing it all manually at the moment, even with a system available to them. So here we're still talking basics right now, even if digital twin is still the next step. Here the basics are still not taken care of because you're downloading a CSV and then creating pivots and all of that. That's like still going 5 years behind.
As companies increasingly demand real time insights and actions, how do you see decision intelligence evolving?
Decision intelligence will evolve very rapidly, is what I will tell you. And we can take an example of Gen AI. I don't have the stats in my hand, but I'm pretty much sure a lot of people are actually using Gen AI copilots and other Open AI and other LLMs to even write emails. So a lot of things are progressing at a very, very rapid pace, and the digital intelligence and decision intelligence will also change rapidly because now the data and decision is available to you now. You don't have to sit, analyze it, get the reports across, understand those reports. It's an interactive methodology. So if I need to understand, should I ship those 100 yellow umbrellas to, I don't know, Africa? You don't have to sit and understand whether what happened in the past. I can simply ask, will it rain in Africa in the next 3 months that I should send yellow umbrellas to? So the decision intelligence has to progress with that space. Otherwise, AI is not doing its job.
Interesting take there. What's the greatest constraint or challenge you foresee in the future?
The greatest challenge that we see right now also, and the future will pretty much be there, is it's very difficult for us first to find a differentiator. Everyone claims, yes, we are not a digital dashboard tool, we are an AI analytical tool. So there has to be some differentiators. So even if we have that differentiator, the bigger problem is customers don't know what they want. In the sense, no one will get up in the morning and search for us what is decision intelligence, who are the players in decision intelligence. So these are new terminologies which are coming across and spreading these words. And it's not just us. There will be other players also, or maybe there are other players also in this field. So I think it's a more of a collective effort of not educating. We don't believe in education, but more of awareness to the customer that these tools are available to you. Okay. So it's more of spreading the message across, communicating in the right way so that people understand as to what is available to them already, not what is coming. So this is one of the bigger challenges we feel, is communicating it to the right set of decision takers.
Let's kind of jump ahead for a bit. If you had unlimited resources tomorrow, what bold initiative would you launch with GroFlex?
Even if with unlimited resources, we would still go with the same approach, because first we believe in building a robust platform, number one, a platform enough to handle any kind of challenges that it's being thrown at, number two, and number three is actually start looking at what are the problematic factors that we can go and solve. So rather than saying we'll be launching in 100 different countries and all of that, we would rather like to narrow down and get first our house, the skeletal and everything in order. And once we have that, then it's about market approachability. And again, not going to the customer saying that, see, this is the new thing that we have got. It's going and communicating, you have a problem with this workflow. We have already solved it. Come to us. If you have not solved it, let us solve it together. So it's more about keeping the boots on the ground for us, even with unlimited resources. And that's one of the reasons we are bootstrapped till now, and we have taken it in that kind of a pace to build it robustly, but build it slowly.
Okay, for those leaders that may be listening or some of your clients that may be listening, if there's one mindset or behavior shift that they need to make right now to become truly intelligence driven, what would you tell them?
The first question that each one of us should be asking, and which I also ask a lot of times myself, is what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Because a lot of times, yes, we understand the problem. I need to increase my sales. But have you really gone deeper into why is the problem in the sales altogether? So the first thing that as a leader, as a CEO and a founder in my own company and in my own practice, in my daily life as well, I try to go deeper into understanding where is the problem. Is it at my hand? Is it controllable by me? Can I make those changes myself? Do I need to be dependent on others? So once we have those kind of questions, it's like still going back to the same philosophy of the pitch deck: problems slide, solution slide. It's life is pretty much, the startup world is also built on that kind of a scenario. It's not like someone woke up long back and said, no, this is how we'll follow problem slides. So no, there was a logic and a reason behind that. And I would still go back to everyone who's building something or everyone who's working on a day-to-day basis also understand what the problem is. Maybe you'll not have the solution on that day, but take a step every day towards that to solve that problem. And I'd be a strong believer into that. That's one of the reasons, even with the lean team, we are not picking up 10 different features to build. We are working on 2 to 3, building it, and then moving ahead. And I would still concentrate on that as well. So that would be my takeaway.
That makes perfect sense. So, Amit, thank you so much for sharing your journey, insights, and vision. It's clear that decision intelligence is no longer optional. It's becoming the core of competitive advantage. For our listeners, if you're looking to move beyond dashboards to real-time cross-functional insights and actions, GroFlex is a great case to learn from. Amit, for those wanting to find out more about GroFlex, how should they do that?
You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn altogether, but you can also visit our website, which is groflex.ai. You can reach out to us. You can probably search my name also. It will be very closely related to GroFlex, because that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 2 years, day in and day out. So happy to connect with anyone. And thank you, Carl, for this lovely journey together that I was able to share my thoughts and my 25-year-old vision is what I would say so.
Well, thank you for joining us. For our listeners, if you're thinking about how to operationalize AI, align data and systems, or scale intelligence within your organization, that's exactly what we do at Proteligen. Let's connect. Until next time, ask better questions, build smarter systems, and stay on the edge of intelligence.
Perfect.